Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have Codi Gharagouzloo on the show. Pretty sure I nailed that. Anyway, listen, do me a favor, share this out. Let's get a bunch of people on here to hear Codi's story and stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back. Let me bring Codi on. Codi, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. So I started this, I don't know, 5.5 years ago. And I truly believe that in life, we learn how to win more by hearing how other people overcame hard times and won anyway. So that's what this is all about. It's breaking through walls. So why don't you start with telling everybody where you were born and raised?
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so I was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Was raised until I was 6. We moved quickly to Louisiana. My dad was in the Army, so we were just bouncing around. So, was in Germany, then Louisiana until I was 6, and then Virginia for a year. Ended up in Manhattan, Kansas, from like 3rd grade through high school. Went to college there.
What part of Kansas?
So that's the Little Apple. That's Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, the Little Apple. I've actually heard that before. So what was it? So you're considered an Army brat.
That's right. Yeah.
Moving around. What was that like for you as a kid?
I liked it. I really did.
Yeah.
I made friends pretty easily wherever I went, so I wasn't too worried about that. Although, I did have some close friends that, as usual, sometimes you get separated. But
yeah. So you ended up in Kansas. You said in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed there through high school. Just a regular all-American upbringing, I guess, in the middle of the country, Kansas. What kind of stuff did you get into in high school? Did you play sports? Were you a brainiac? Both?
I mean, I got into trouble in high school. It's the kind of stuff I got into. Yeah. Wow. I think high school was a little bit boring for me. And so actually, with my friends, sometimes we didn't even go. I was kind of getting into a lot of trouble. Ended up in 9th grade going to Alaska, living with a friend there. Kind of cooled down a little bit, back at just the easy grind, getting straight A's, whatever. Did one silly thing, got kicked out of school near the end of the year, and then I was expelled for a year. So
wow.
Yeah. Had a good year off, and then kind of got my shit together after that, decided I wanted to do stuff and things, and that my current path didn't quite align with my aspirations. So it kind of turned things around.
Wow. So I wasn't expecting that at all, because I know we're going to head down another path about your education, and so that completely caught me off guard. I admire it, because we're cut from that same cloth. I may or may not have gotten into some trouble in high school as well. So talk about what happened after high school. And I would almost assume, and I'm probably wrong, but I would assume that since you were raised by somebody in the Army, the natural path would be to join the Army.
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
my dad joined the army. I mean, he came from Iran in '78, right, just before the Shah lost power. Went to school in Indiana Tech, did mechanical engineering. Met my mom. They got married. He was looking for a job. As the story goes, it was hard for the Persian people to find jobs at that time in the United States. So
Yeah.
he joined the army. He was enlisted, not even an officer. So for a while there, you know, but together with my two sisters. And then, but he retired recently, so he retired full bird colonel. So he went hard through the whole thing. Yeah, about a year and a half
Wow.
ago. So,
So he had but he had a college degree when he joined,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they still he was enlisted, not an officer.
No. Yep. That's right.
Interesting.
So I think he became an officer when I was like 5 or 6. I want to say
Wow.
he was the youngest of us. Yeah.
So what happened with you? So you get out, you graduate high school? Yes?
Yeah. Did just fine graduating high school. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Even with a year off. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They.
what happened? Where'd you go from there?
After high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to Kansas State University. So I had got my stuff together pretty good by my senior year. Had taken some like summer classes before that to catch up some of the things I missed, get ahead. Even so, by my first year in college, I started in Calculus 3. I was taking high level engineering classes. Um, so I got ahead actually, and I
Wow.
kept my foot on the pedal. So I was taking like 20 credit hours at a time. I did physics and mechanical nuclear engineering, two bachelor's degrees in 4 years. Um, so I did
Jeez.
all right by it there. Yeah.
Uh, Nothing like being an underachiever.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you that okay, you go from getting in trouble, getting expelled for a year,
Mm-mm.
graduating high school, and then just going, I'm gonna go get 400 degrees really quick. What changed? What was the big there had to have been a huge paradigm shift for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'll tell this story. This is funny, but in my getting in trouble days, sitting around with a group of friends that don't necessarily always do right by you. This group of friends, eventually didn't end up hanging out with most of them. But sitting around with them, telling them my aspirations in life. I want to do nuclear physics, and um, one of the guys was like, "Yeah, you should do that," and I was like, "Fuck, this is not aligned with what it is." So
Right.
I decided to turn it around, man, and just
Wow.
kind of happened naturally, I guess. But kind of pulling my head out of the clouds, thinking about life a little bit.
So you went from probably trying to fit in with a group of losers. I'm kidding, but I get it
I
though.
never tried to fit in. I didn't really actually. In high school, I talked to anybody and everybody. Um, I was never one to try to fit in. If anything, I'm a little bit antisocial. I sort of just always did what I wanted.
Yeah,
Um,
I
so I
hear
think
you.
it followed the same pattern. And then, I'm the same person I was when I was 5 years old, when I was 10 years old, when I was 15, 16, getting in trouble.
Yeah.
I think we're always sort of the same people. We have that sort of inner child. I mean, that's us. So I haven't changed. Still the same. And
Wow.
you just learn along the way. Sort of, you got one life. It's a breath, and how do you want to live it? Got to make some
Amen.
choices. So
I love that, man. So you went on, got a couple of bachelor's degrees. Did you graduate and go get a job in nuclear physics or?
no, a lot of my friends, they graduated, they went out and got jobs. I mean, I was always much more interested in like science, and so for science and for research, you should do more school. So I got a master's degree. Went to Paris because I had met my to be wife in Paris during a study abroad. So I went over to do my master's in biophotonics, a couple years there.
Masters in what?
Biophotonics. So like basically imaging with light matter interactions, a lot of laser stuff, looking at cells. I was measuring action potentials with the laser. That was my master thesis.
Wow. Okay, you might officially be the most intelligent person to ever be on this show. So what do you do with that degree? I'm curious. What do you do with that?
I mean, I was trying to figure out how my, love for physics can be used in, healthcare, basically, in helping people. I didn't really think about it in terms of healthcare, but, cancer is bad. How do we, cure cancer? I love physics, keep going, following my nose through things that I like and learning more. So I switched from, these sort of optical imaging technologies, which are really only good for a millimeter of tissue, to medical imaging technologies in my PhD. So I did a PhD in bioengineering in a nanomedicine laboratory. So that was sort of my next step.
And where did you get your PhD?
Yeah, so I was at Northeastern University in Boston.
Did I read though that you also were at Harvard?
That's true. Yeah. So after that, I did a couple of years over there, the postdoctoral fellowship.
Wow. Okay, so where did all of this education lead you? Where did it take you?
Yeah, I mean, it's taking me now to a startup. So I have my own startup. It's based on the technology that I invented during my PhD, developed during my postdoctoral fellowship. So I think it's pretty breakthrough. And then, the comfortable path would have been to continue in academia. I mean, that's what everybody does. And it's funny too, because, it was even frowned upon sort of to make a startup by academic people. It's it's different. Of course, now I feel like the eyes of society kind of like it now, right? So it's kind of a positive thing, but it's a scary thing. It's usually you just apply for grants and you make your own lab, and you're just working 80 hours a week, just grinding away, doing cleaning the floors for other people till you make your way there, right? Academia is a So yeah, I decided to take what I thought was a better path, and I think it worked out really well. Been able to work with some of the best people in the world that are, believe it or not, somewhere else, not always at Harvard. So once you're in a startup, you just choose where you go. So here, there, and everywhere, UCSF, University of Wisconsin, Madison, wherever the people are, you just find them and you work alongside them. So I think it's more practical. I mean, we've got grant money. We wrote grants, did that. I think that's important, but then you also have, other opportunities for funding. And yeah, I mean, it's when you're trying to change people's lives, academia is cool, but it's feels a little bit, I mean, somebody has to get it out there, right? So
yeah. So what's for the layperson, i.e. me, what's a day in the life of Codi? I mean, what's that? What all of this sounds really like, okay, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I've never been granted anything. It's go out and knock on doors and ask for the sale. What is it like for you in a startup, and what's the day in the like, what do you do like every day?
Breaking through walls. breaking through walls. That's it.
Right.
Always a wall to break through. I think a lot of the things that are, difficult, limiting, after the science is sort of established and you've done a lot of stuff and things there, it's business things, it's people, it's different types of walls that need to be broken down. So especially when you have something that's quite disruptive, you don't really fit into a cookie cutter. Most of the people who are, have, it's like a lot of entrepreneurs, they've got, it's not really a 0 to 1 technology that's really paradigm shifting. They've got something incremental, or they've got an app, or they've jumped on like the latest boat, waving the flag of AI or something like that. Like, yeah, we use AI too. It's not at the heart of what we do, but so I've seen seen a lot of different kinds of. But I really like the most innovative stuff, right? I want to do something that really shakes things up and changes things.
Which is what? What is, like you mentioned, the curing cancer, which I just lost we lost my brother-in-law to cancer just recently.
Sorry to hear that.
What is I mean, good Lord, I would give everything, and my wife and they'd give everything for the cure to cancer, obviously, right? Many people would.
Mm,
What does that look like for you? How
mm.
are you disrupting and changing the world with with your knowledge? I mean, you obviously have a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool advances out there for cancer, for other age related diseases. A lot of great things going on. What I've invented is an imaging technology.
Okay.
So it works with any MRI scanner. So for example, we could image a tumor. It could be in a person or an animal. Deliver some kind of treatment and quantify how well that treatment's going in real time.
Okay.
And so it's really a diagnostic technology for early detection and enhanced characterization of disease, but then also can be used to accelerate drug development. Because a lot of the times it's just hard to see what's going on. And MRI is a amazing technology. You can see inside the body, but most of the time it's just these qualitative images. You're going to look at them with your eyeballs. Not much is going to come out it by way of quantification. For cancer, they're looking at the size of the tumor. Does it get
Right.
smaller? A lot of times that tumor becomes necrotic. The treatment might be working, but it doesn't get smaller, right? So we quantify the vascular physiology. So we make these beautiful vascular images. They're 10x better than with gadolinium. And then, that's the contrast agent that's typically used in MRI. And then, oh, by the way, we don't use gadolinium. We use an iron supplement. And then, we quantify the vascular structure, function, and leakage. So the vascular density of the small vessels, how well those vessels are functioning, looking at vasodilations, and then leakage.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's a pretty good kind of holistic picture of any organ in that sense, or any, yeah.
That's just unbelievable to me. I don't. So what is your what are you hoping for that what this all develops into?
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, it's like if you've seen that movie Elysium, with Matt Damon, and
Yeah.
they're trying to get up there to that space station, and they've got that machine in there.
Yep.
And that machine is doing two things, right? It's scanning your body, it's finding any disease, and then it's sort of curing you, right? And you see these cool pictures that it scan you and so on.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the first part of that technology. We scan the body, we look for disease, we identify it. And so, I'm passionate about early detection, delivering this technology to hospitals, whether it be for early detection of, Alzheimer's disease and related dementia, other neurodegenerative disease, cancer. Detection is really critical, characterization, but then also, working alongside drug developers. I think one of the most interesting drugs are cell therapy, right? And so, working alongside those people, developing now important relationships, trying to work with the best, and if successful, showing how well their drugs work, because that's really the bottleneck for them. Is that the FDA needs to see a dose-dependent response to how well these amazing therapies are working, but there's not always one biomarker. The
Right.
person's healed, they're doing better. Everyone's feeling better. A lot of anecdotal type information, but wouldn't it be great if you had a brain map of the vascular physiology? You could see these things aren't quite that well, and then boom, it's better, like a healthy younger person, or the disease is gone. So it's the kind of quantification that I want to deliver to that.
So with everything that you do, I mean, it sounds like you're dealing with a lot of people on a government level as well. I mean, you come up with, let's pretend that you have the cure to cancer. Like, here it is. I have it. There's an awful lot of red tape, I would imagine,
Yeah,
that you have to deal with to deliver said cure.
that's right. I mean, and I don't have it. I mean, I think one of the most outstanding sort of innovators in this space is Dr. Papariri at Cellularity, right? And it is hard to innovate here. Um, there's a lot of political games that are played.
Yeah.
I don't know if you look at their stock price, like it fell 95%, right? So now, fortunately, 80% of their company is owned by them, and even of that 20% that's publicly available, they sort of own a lot of that too. But what it means is it's difficult for them to raise large amount of money to bring cell therapy to people.
Right.
All right, so these kind of political games trying to take away the fuel and the energy that those colossal innovators need. Um, so uh, you know, if we can help with our technology to show how well it works in a clear way, like that dose dependent manifestation of what's happening in your brain and body, like that's what this technology can do. That's what we can do. Let's do it. Um,
I've heard, and I don't know much about it. I'm sure you know way more about it than I do, but I've heard that like Elon Musk is developed or trying to develop some kind of an implant. What is that all about? Do you know much about that?
I know a little bit about that, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not related to what you do in any way.
I mean, it could be. I mean, yeah. I mean, is that trying to cure or just ameliorate the human condition? I don't know. It's not sort of the lowest hanging apple for us, is it? Whereas, believe it or not, something like Alzheimer's disease might be, because it's actually quite easy for us to measure early and characterize. So that's so, and we take it step by step, right? So
Yeah.
right now, actually, what we're doing is just trying to get the imaging technology to market. So it's just those black and white images that are better and safer than the existing ones. So every year there's like 40 million MRI scans in the US. 20 million of those use that toxic gadolinium as a contrast agent. But then there are millions of more scans that are actually not undergone because people have kidney disease. There's 37 million Americans with chronic kidney disease. Beyond sort of the heavy metal toxicity properties of gadolinium, like people are contraindicated to it if the kidneys aren't working too well. So we want to deliver this 10x better and safer modality to them first. Eventually, just to everybody. But then we can do some really neat things with it too. We can make full body vascular scans that you wouldn't be able to do with gadolinium, because you have to inject it in, image right away, get these first pass images. So we can map the whole body, so we can do some interesting things there. So yeah, so it's a software, goes on the scanner, changes how it operates, like changes the operating system. It's not building on top of it and then what other people are doing. So it's a little bit different. It's physics based, actually, quantum physics. But yeah, comes across as a software. Get it on there, and then the other part of the business model is to sell the iron supplement. So that's what we're planning. And actually, so then we'll deliver those black and white images.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think that there are larger markets too, even larger now, though that's big, for those advanced diagnostics in those aging and related diseases.
So is your primary customer, I guess, hospitals?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, yeah.
And by approaching a hospital system, that, I mean, what is the ultimate payoff for a hospital to do business with you?
So, again, because we're targeting, those people who can't get those life-saving scans, We're talking about, life-saving diagnostics that otherwise would not be
Got it.
possible. I mean, when you talk about, okay, this image is 10x better and, it's safer than gadolinium, they're like, well, we're using gadolinium every day, saving people's lives, we're doing fine. Okay, the images are 10x better, but what do we care? So I think kind of starting at a beachhead where it's like, hey, we have no solution for this.
Yeah.
And, they're actually paying for expensive nuclear imaging and all kinds of stuff that's not even delivering the information they need. So, there's at least, 1 million scans a year that are just needed that are not undergone.
That's insane.
Conservative.
That's a lot of people.
It's it is. Yeah, and more than that, I mean, even if I had to get a scan, I wouldn't want one with gadolinium. I'd like our 10x better, 10x more detail with an iron supplement scan, right? So,
wow.
Yeah.
And you don't get a choice now, do you?
No, I mean, that's all that there's on the market, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so, what we have, it already works. And, the walls we have to break through are more business type walls. We found a pathway to FDA clearance now with our software, which was sort of, working with these MRI manufacturers. So that's sort of really critical for us.
There's a question Carrie put in there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Fasting as a way to kill cancer. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of interesting alternative type, ways to approach cancer. Like Tony Robbins, who I'm a big fan of, he talks a lot about that.
Love Tony.
So I would just read up on him and what he has to say about it, and the people he, trusts and believes in, and what they have to say about that. That's what I would do.
Dr. Joe Dispenza has some interesting stuff on it too.
Yeah.
Jim Miller asks, are you working on any autoimmunity diagnostics?
So
how does he even know to ask that question? Jim, how do you know that? Jeez. He's a friend of mine.
Sure. Wow. So, I mean, for example, like multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease, right? So your brain is attacking those axonal, sheaths and then rebuilding them. So yeah, our technology can work there. So you're going to have blood-brain barrier leakage. So that's the kind of thing we can measure. You're going to have an increased vascular density. So structure, function, and leakage. Yeah. And so, it's very different to be able to make these measurements at the individual level. Some of these measurements, like people have done in like large group studies with gadolinium, for example.
Yeah.
But to be able to just map that out at the individual level, that's sort of, so yes, it definitely can work for autoimmune diseases. I mean, we've mapped out and published about like type 2 diabetes, looking at blood-brain barrier leakage going on there. We've looked at some places you might not expect. So
I've had MRIs, and I had no idea that they were putting this.
Well, not every time. I mean, if you got injected with something,
I did.
Then you got it.
They said it's going to make you feel really warm inside, and you're going to feel like peeing your pants.
Yeah. So you felt warm inside.
Is that what that is?
It's unfortunately what it is. Yeah. I mean, and the toxicity of that, I mean, there's so many people that are getting, right? So 20 million people a year just getting it. But it accumulates in the brain of every healthy person. You can still see the accumulation, like it accumulates like linearly.
Is there a half-life to it?
To that accumulate, it's uncertain. Apparently it sticks around.
What?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So, and this is a toxic substance.
Yeah.
Okay. So why are we allowing this?
Well, I mean, there's not really much of an alternative, right? So again, those life-saving scans. So if you need, until us, right?
But there is now, right?
Now. Yeah.
Okay. So why are we not stomping on the gas and like every hospital in the freaking world going, hey, we changed?
We're looking at 2 years, and we are, raising funds to get the gas in the tank. So the plane is on the runway. Just needs some gas in the tank. That's true.
Well, what do we need? I have a big audience, man. What do we need to tell them to help you? What do we do?
Well, I mean, if you're an accredited investor and you're interested in investing, you can reach out to me. We're raising $5 million. We're working with some of the world's greatest people. Happy to tell you more.
Yeah. Is there a website that people can?
Yeah. So www.imaginostics.com.
Hold on. I'm going to try to spell it. Imaginostics.com. I think I may have gotten it. Let's see.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. It's the only real social media I really use.
Nobody uses LinkedIn is the problem, Cody.
Everybody uses LinkedIn. What are you talking about, man? This is the
I teach social media. I don't even touch LinkedIn.
really.
Anyway, is that right? Imaginostics.com.
Imagine. Yep, that's it.
Okay, good.
Imaging plus diagnostics.
Sorry, excuse me.
Bronchitis, man.
It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
You don't got time for that.
Well, you know what's worse than bronchitis is all the steroids I'm on.
Yeah.
I did not know I had this kind of appetite. Like I want to eat like literally everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So this, this is knowing that I've had some MRIs, and I have more coming up because I have an aneurysm. It disturbs me that they're putting this toxic substance into my body.
Yeah.
And nobody's even saying, hey, by the way, that warm, fuzzy feeling that you're going to get is actually a toxic substance. What?
I mean, there are those in the know. On the other hand, though, I mean, the alternative for you with your aneurysm is a pretty bad, right? You need it. You need to have the life-saving scans. So it's, and it's hard to say what that can do to people long-term. I mean, we just found out in 2018 that this is happening, right? So it just got the black box warning.
What?
And people have been using it for so long, but you find different schools of thought. You'll find like radiologists that are like, oh no, this is awesome. We've been doing it forever. They're usually like 80 years old and telling you, everything's awesome. But a lot of people know now. I think a lot of people are sort of in the know. They realize it, see what it is.
But you can't go in and like go, no, don't inject me with that.
I mean, if you've got an aneurysm, I mean, I think you might need it so they can see that thing clearly, right? I mean, it's sort of.
Can I not just say call my buddy Cody and he'll bring some other stuff over?
Another couple years, another $5 million in a couple years, and you can call your buddy Cody. We'll help you out.
Dude, that is crazy. I'm sorry. I'm kind of lost for words. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, there are some companies that are developing, for example, different kinds of treatments for aneurysms that they stick, like coils that they stick in the sac. And they're interested in partnering with us now, becoming clients, just because actually we can see the aneurysm, we can see the blood vessels. We don't have any of these sort of what are called imaging artifacts. So usually when you have something metal in the body or some kind of, these stents and, these implants and these coils, they make signal drop out in these images. So it just gets black around it. So we don't have any of that going on. So we can see it quite clearly. Actually, we can image up to stainless steel, look at the mesh of these, stents that go in the body. The method is insensitive to that kind of susceptibility and do signal dropout. So that's actually another application is, monitoring those devices and showing how they work too, actually.
Wow. So you could literally turn the medical world upside down.
I think so. I think it's paradigm shifting. Yeah. Because being able to describe for the first time the vascular physiology at the individual level and in a way that's not toxic, I think that's pretty different and critical. And it can work on any MRI scanner, and they're everywhere, right?
And this is different than like X-ray technology, right? That's completely different.
Yeah, MRIs don't have any inherent toxicity apart from the contrast that are typically used. Yeah, they're completely safe.
Wow. Pretend for a moment that you've got all 8 billion people listening to you right now on the planet. What do you have to say? What is it that you want the world to know about Codi and your vision for the future for our world and healthcare technology overall? I'm going to give you full screen. Go.
Shit.
Come on.
I don't know about all that, but yeah, I mean, my vision for healthcare. I mean, I think we're in an incredible time, right? We have this with AI, it's accelerating everything. We're, if you read the book, The Future is Faster Than You Think. I've got it back there. I mean, by Peter Diamandis. It's an exponential time. Things are happening really fast, right?
So fast.
And my part of it is I want to be a part of that exponential, happening and accelerate these drugs that are being developed, right? That's what I'm most passionate about. Yeah, I care a lot about early detection and diagnosis. I'm a physicist, and believe it or not, I care more about healing people. So, I think that, a diagnostic is a necessary but not sufficient sort of step towards that. So, I would say have hope, because there's a lot of critical therapies that are coming. They say you're going to live, like you're 50 until you're 122. So I think that's going to happen, and hopefully we can help. Right? We can help with that bottleneck where you got to demonstrate clearly, for example, to the FDA that things are working. Because you have these giant studies, it costs so many billions of dollars. You need so many people because you can barely see what's going on. So being able to show it at the individual level drives the cost down and really quantify what's going on, and then make things quite clear.
I have a friend, Dr. John Jaquish, who has, I don't know, 1.5 million followers on Instagram. He's probably not on LinkedIn either. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. Anyway.
I'm laughing now. I got you. I cue the laugh sign. Oh, there it is. And the applause sign. I see it now. I got you.
That's
you, man.
funny. But he was funny. He's a PhD, and he said, I forget what we were talking about, but I said something about, yeah, but an MD told me this. He goes, we teach the MDs. I said, oh my God. It was so funny. But I think I look at what you're talking about, and my sister's a nurse practitioner. I know a lot of physicians, but they're called medical practices for a reason. Like there's nothing, well, I shouldn't say nothing, but they're practicing, and every body, human body, is different. It's going to react in a different way to certain things, right? Am I wrong about that? I mean, there's going to be some variances there. So to put everything inside of one box seems irresponsible to me.
What do you mean by that, though? Put everything in a box?
Meaning, like, hey, you've got bronchitis and he's got bronchitis, and we're going to treat both of you the exact same way.
I mean, maybe for bronchitis, that's less sensitive than other diseases or maladies, but yeah.
I look, I watched my brother-in-law go through a 44-year battle with cancer, and from 6 years old until he was 50. And he went through so much chemo and radiation that it literally caused blindness. It caused all kinds of, it's those things that they're treating cancer with are literally poison that cause other problems. And it sounds to me that you're trying to flip the script on that, so to speak.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, I kind of look around. I'm like, what's the most innovative technology out there? Oh, this guy's got something amazing. Let's go accelerate that kind of thing, right? So, and there are some amazing technologies out there. Yeah, and cell therapy can do so much, right? It covers it can be used for cancer too. And can be used to recover from those, chemotherapies.
Let me ask you, I don't know if I should even ask this. You may not want to answer this. And don't. If you don't want to, just say, I don't want to answer that.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of things about big pharma, bad, nefarious things, in fact, that they hide some truths about stuff because it affects their stock prices and other things. Do you think there's any truth to any of that?
I don't know. I mean, I think, big pharma is not going to be like the earliest adopter of our technology either, right? Like
Really?
they're not all that innovative. I mean, they're just these big corporations, right? Whoever had the original dream, like who knows who that is, and he's gone.
Right.
Now, depending on who the big pharma is, some of these guys can be a little bit innovative. And,
Right.
So yeah. So I wouldn't put everybody in a bucket. Some of these
Okay.
big pharma, there's one right now where we're going to be talking with some people about precision medicine for cancer. And they've got drugs, and they do want to see how they're working, and they've got a combination of drugs, and they want to be able to monitor that.
Yeah.
They're a big old pharma player, and they're interested, and they're talking to them. So I've kind of seen a lot of different things. There's a couple of really big pharma companies right now that are like your classic big pharma that are actually interested in our technology and using it. But eventually, I think everybody might be, but yeah, I think they're just slower to move.
Yeah.
Which you would expect, that they have all this money and they're going to be, but it's not what you would think. It's
No.
not, unfortunately.
Jim has a great question. In what ways are you supporting the growing number of functional medicine practitioners? I think there's some, I think personally, this is just my opinion, there's a lot of really good stuff happening in functional medicine.
Yeah, and even non sort of medicinal interventions or whatever, right? So I think the kind of thing that's there, I think that also goes along the lines of just like looking at like the general health of the body, something like what Fountain Life is doing. Another, again, I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins, so I'm going to be following his companies. And actually, we're in Lake Nona, Orlando, Florida, to serve Fountain Life is what we want to do. So once we're FDA cleared and approved, full body vascular scans is sort of why we're here.
Wow.
But and people want to know the biological age of their body, and they want, and we can deliver, for example, the biological age of each organ, but also quantify the health of the organ, right? There's got to be some normal, healthy vascular physiology for each organ for adults, and that's going to decline over time. So whatever the medicine or intervention, if you can quantify the health of that organ or tissue, you're going to be able to help. So I think in that general broad sense, I think we sort of apply again sort of everywhere. Yeah.
Wow. So you're like really doing not a lot with Tony, but you're definitely following a lot of what Tony Robbins is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think in his book Life Force, he's really identified some of the key players and some of the key technologies.
Wow.
And so that's why so there's a strong community there of people who are and so again, it's supportive technology, right? Diagnostics is always the support. I think so. Where can we help, kind of thing.
Wow, Cody, you are exceptionally smart. I mean, you just I love the way your brain works. Anything else you'd like to share with the audience today?
I mean, so it's a platform technology, so we can help in so many different diseases, and we've done a lot of work to do proof of principle in many cases, especially in animal models. And right now we're focused on going to market with just the black and white vascular imaging solution, 10x better, especially for those who can't get it, but hopefully for everybody, and then full body vascular scans. In parallel, we're also looking at early detection of Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. And that's thanks to about, a total of like $6 million from the National Institute on Aging and the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation. So, the thing that it takes to move this technology at this point is just energy. So, I'm passionate about curing, any age-related disease, or any of these spaces could be of great interest to me, right? So, but where's sort of the energy and the tanks for those things? So, if people are interested in particular diseases and would like to see those things, I mean, I work with the world's best clinicians at the world's best research hospitals, and we apply to grants. We're applying to grants in traumatic brain injury, University of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Crew at Memorial Sloan Kettering for brain cancer. Even for multiple sclerosis with, some of the crew that I'm working with in Alzheimer's disease related dementia at University of Miami. So if there are, potential benefactors out there who would like to see some accelerated developments in these spaces, let's talk, so.
I have, I have a client, I don't know if she's watching or not, Dr. Laura, that like she owns the Dementia Care Academy. She works a lot in dementia all over the US. And that's a huge growing problem. And I've seen, I don't know if I can't really say I've read reports on it, because I haven't. But that, dementia has a lot to do with what's going in the body as well. That can trigger dementia later. And it's like, wow, the stuff that we're just not aware of.
Well, I mean, if you're lucky enough to get to a ripe old age and die of it, I mean, 1 in 3 people are going to die with dementia. So it's one of those things where it's like, we're going to die because one of our organs are going to fail. Is the brain going to be one of those organs? So it's not sort of a matter of if, but when. And then, yes, the environmental factors, definitely can make that worse, or even genetic factors make that worse or better. So, and the type of, I mean, we looked at, the single most significant genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's is APOE4. So we looked at a model of that where we put that human gene into rats, and we followed their lifespan. And we found that we could measure it, in the earliest time point we did in that study was 20-year-old human equivalent. And we could see it like night and day at the individual animal. So imagine being able to see those things at like 20-year-old human equivalent. So, I mean, that's sort of, what excites me about this technology. It's just just data driven, new data.
So, but with your, we're talking about imaging and diagnostics, but like, so let's pretend for a moment that you can use your technology and detect dementia in a 20-year-old that's going to happen when they're 78. I'm throwing out completely obscure numbers, but
sure.
How does I need to make sure I word this question right so it makes sense.
What do you do about it?
Like, no, how does identifying the potential problem help the problem?
Yeah, I mean, as you kind of touched on, I mean, it's surprising how much lifestyle interventions can really curtail these sort of diseases. If you're doing your, daily cardio, you are, not taking in sugars, you're getting your sleep on time, all the things that you think, mama would tell you to do. Which is funny because Peter Diamandis has this book now that's like Peter's longevity practices or something. When I read it, it was like my mom's just telling me like the normal shit that I already fucking know about, right? But it's true. If you do those things, you really can combat these diseases. And then if you're, if you find out you have a propensity to have it, I mean, maybe that's what you can do. What I'm interested in, though, is not just identifying it, but then partnering with whoever has the greatest drug against it, and then just showing that it works. Let's accelerate that.
Can your technology be used in the development of new drugs and treatments?
Yeah, and there's a lot of exciting work about how AI can be used to identify new drugs, right? I've seen companies anywhere from identifying existing drugs that were kind of fringe, that were forgotten, and now they're using AI to pick them up, the good ones, to companies that are just, designing brand new drugs using, AI. And
Wow.
that's awesome. And so, but then that brings us to, to the next thing is, how do you from those, how do you bring them to the next step? So that's a place again where we can accelerate things. A small group of animals, we can, for example, give you reason to believe that this thing should be brought to humans, right? And then hopefully in a small group of humans, show you that this thing is really working or not. So yeah, I think that's powerful.
Wow. Some crazy stuff happening, man. And I don't mean crazy in a bad way. I mean in a good way. This is it's what an exciting time to be alive, quite frankly, because there's guys like you out there behind the scenes that nobody even knows about coming up with this stuff.
And it's a very exciting time to be alive. I think if we can hang on for another 10, 15 years, they talk about this longevity escape velocity. They talk about, but there really are treatments and therapies that are coming. And I think if you can hold on for another 10, 15, you might be feeling a whole lot better, whatever it is. So
what do you, but is there a crossroads where we've overdeveloped, or we I don't know, it's like, what's that movie where the computer starts attacking the world, and then in the end it's like, oh, this is a
war games
no,
or whatever.
yeah, war games, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
no win scenario.
yeah, is there a point though where we go, man, we've gone, I mean, Elon talks about it, that AI could be the end of the human race if we let it go too far.
Nuclear bombs could be the end of the human race if we let it
Right,
too far.
that's true.
So it's and I mean these models, I think it's which humans, how you use them responsibly. I think it's another potential danger, another potential lifesaver. So I think again, it's just people who are key there. I don't think AI is evil or inherently. It's just a tool.
That's it.
But in terms of over developing, I think I think there's a waste of resources. I think a lot of resources have conventionally been poured into areas that, like for example, in Alzheimer's disease, I don't know how much money was spent for anti-amyloid drugs, right? But thanks to imaging, actually, you could see that the amyloid was in the brain, right? So you had positron emission tomography. The first investor in that really was the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation. And thanks to that, we now have anti-amyloid, therapy, those monoclonal antibodies. It can slow down the rate of cognitive impairment by as much as about 35%. That's great.
Wow.
Cool. Does it reverse? Does it really, how? And so, but now we know, like, great, so let's move on. So I think people now are like, great, we've done that. We poured all these resources into that. Some of these big pharmaceutical giants are trying to, fine tune that. One of the things we could actually probably do there is identify people who are going to, because the problem with that is the vascular related side effects. So I think we could identify people who are going to have those vascular related side effects. I think there's stuff to be done there too. Like, I think cleaning the amyloid from the blood, nobody's talking about it, right? But when you take all this amyloid out of the brain, you throw it into the blood, and it stays there for like months and months and months, a year. There was this study that my buddy published about ponzimab, which was used in cerebral amyloid angiopathy. It was a Pfizer drug, and they canned it because their output was the vascular reactivity, so the vessel responsiveness, and it actually went down. They didn't respond as good anymore. They're like, oh, this isn't working. But in retrospect, what else would you expect? Because they're measuring the blood amyloid. You're filling up the blood with amyloid oligomers. These people probably have blood-brain barrier leakage, certainly in mild cognitive impairment or in dementia, they do. And so you're throwing this out of the brain into the blood. It's leaking and backing into the brain, causing constriction of capillaries, reduced blood flow. Nobody's talking about cleaning it out. I think that would be critical. I mean, I think that would help. But the point is that I think, those resources were poured so long into this thing because in 1909 or whenever it was, they saw this shit in people's brains, right? Like, great. So, but now we're moving on. So I think allocation of resources into new spaces is pretty cool. Actually, alongside amyloid and tau, now vascular features are in the usual suspects of the pathology. It's been put into the criteria. So it's actually the earliest vascular features are now known to be the earliest and most significant throughout the whole process, which is pretty cool.
I mean, you just mentioned 1909. Like, we're still using technology from 1909. What?
Well, it's because, it's when they first started looking at Alzheimer's, right? They cut open the brains, they saw the amyloid, they saw the tau. They said, aha, the amyloid is causing the disease. Aha, tau. And they're like, no, it's not tau, it's amyloid. And you had people arguing about it. But it's just, there's garbage in the street and there's all kinds of animals running about. But what's the real problem?
Wow.
But again, fortunately, the field has done what it could there, and it's like moving on and allocating resources into other areas. I think there's a lot of hope even for that in terms of, historically people have just burned money when it comes to pouring money into these important diseases.
Well, it's a good thing our government doesn't burn money today.
I think the NIH does an outstanding job, actually. And they're underfunded. Yeah. We need way more. All the innovation in the country, that these big companies will eventually eat up comes out of academia. And
right.
And so, but it's underfunded and it's a little bit dysfunctional. Publish or perish. Studies can't even be repeated.
Yeah.
It's dysfunctional as well. So it's not perfect, but NIH does I think a pretty outstanding job. So
wow.
With the resources they have.
Codi, I tried to keep up. This might be the most intelligent conversation I've had in a long time. And I know I did not keep up at your level, but you are, gosh, you got a lot going on up there in that brain of yours. It's incredible.
Well, thanks.
The world needs what you know.
We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah. So. Well, hey, if you're working with Tony Robbins and following his stuff, and sounds like you're on a good. And you were referred to me by Justin Breen, who I refer to him as Rain Man, and he laughs. I'm like, dude,
I would laugh too. We have a similar like antisocial
personality
profile.
Oh,
actually, it's funny because it's like it's all weirdly shaped, whatever that test was, and they just fit like right on top of each other. So it's like,
yeah, you guys are kind of like almost the exact same person. So
he's the journalist version,
and I love that dude. He's freaking awesome.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, I said to him one time, I said, "What do you do when a client asks you how much you are?" He goes, "I hang up on them." I go, "What?"
He says, "Humans." He hangs it up.
Yeah. Bye. Anyway.
Goodbye.
So listen, man, you are I'm grateful. Thank you for coming on and sharing this. Jim Miller has a question. I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know what that even means.
In your opinion, how effective is Viome.com's tech? Never heard of it. What is Viome.com?
I've not heard of it. I don't know.
3.5 minutes, I could check it out, but
yeah, I know.
For another time. Send me a message on LinkedIn or LinkedIn.
Yeah, hit him up on LinkedIn. Yeah. He uses LinkedIn. Him and Justin. I know Justin does too. So, but anyway, listen, I really do appreciate the conversation today. Man, you've had an interesting path. I think for somebody that in high school got suspended for an entire year and went on to earn a Ph.D. and study at Harvard and everywhere else you've been. Wow, dude. I'd say you kind of pulled it all together. and you're heading down a really cool path. So
Appreciate that.
anybody watching, if you think there's a way that you can help Cody and help the cause of getting the toxic crap out of our bodies that they're injecting when they do an MRI, he has a solution that's non-toxic. Makes a whole lot more sense to me. So get in touch with Cody on LinkedIn or go to Imaginostics.com.
Yeah, my email is also just Codi@Imaginostics.com if you want to email
There you
me.
go. Codi, CODI at Imaginostics.com. So check it out. If you're listening on the podcast networks, make sure you check that out. Go over to the website and check it out. Codi, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on today.
It's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Breaking down walls. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's it. We had some breakthroughs today.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, share this out. Appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend and stay with me, Codi. I'm going to end this, but stay with me. I'll be right back. See you guys later. Have a great weekend.